Welcome back. We're going to do a surrealist illustration today, inspired by Rene Magritte, great painter who created some awesome, whimsical, and very playful art. The material list is going to be included underneath this video, but it's going to be mainly water-based materials, watercolor pencils and paints. And also you're going to need a shoe stand or cake stand on which you're going to put a shoe. You can use a plate if you don't have a cake stand. And that's our surrealist setup. You're going to be using it to draw your composition. So start on the bottom side of the page, the bottom half, let's say, and draw a vertical line just to help you get the symmetrical sides of your cake stand or plate. You can use whichever shoe you like, as long as it fits on the stand, on a plate, and it has an opening where you can arrange a city, which is what we're going to be doing. So don't draw the other side of the shoe. I added a doily just for a bit of a contrast, and now I'm building a city. So what you're looking for is a skyline, a bunch of buildings together, seen from the side. And the buildings can be modern, or they can be more of a medieval type. I'm doing some kind of towers and domes, more of a fantastical city, but it should have some real elements as well, some real architectural elements. You're not doing an abstract city here. And then you're going to create a window or a picture frame surrounding your shoe. And that's going to be the illusion that we're creating, where we're not quite sure if we're looking at a window or a picture. We're not sure if the city is real, or the shoe is real, or the window is real. And that's how surrealists sort of created their artwork, based on dreams, based on unpredictable connections between things. We're going to outline your pencil drawing with a fine liner and do a bit of shading just around the edges. So to get back to surrealism, it really was invented in response to Freud's discovery, or Freud's idea of a subconscious or unconscious. As the artists worked around the same time, they decided that it would be very interesting to explore the subconscious of the human mind. And as Freud believed, the images that we see in the dreams are the ones that are locked in our subconscious. And if you look at your dreams, they never are quite real. There's always something in the dream that doesn't seem to quite fit together to make you think you're in the real situation. And so surrealists created compositions that seem to be made of real things, quite realistically painted, and yet the way they were put together was not possible in a reality as we know it. We're gonna dilute a little bit the shading just to smooth out some edges. And then you're gonna start coloring your city using watercolor pencils. Try to stick with the colors that you will not be using in the background, because you want your city to be sitting against contrasting colors so that it comes forward. I decided to use green for the background, so my city is mostly reds, oranges, yellows, a bit of purple. And the beauty of using watercolor pencils, you can really get into those small little details. You can make windows one color and the building around it another color, and everything can be small and very easy to dilute and turn it into a painting. Much easier than painting with a brush for the little details. We're just gonna have a few rolling hills in the background to make it simple and to make a nice backdrop for our city. The idea is you putting a landscape behind, just like normally a city would have a landscape behind, and you also creating a mysterious situation where you're not quite sure whether you're looking at a painting or you're looking out the window, or perhaps it's just a dream you had last night. Darken your bottoms of the hills and lighten the tops of the hills. The yellow for the top, turquoise, green for the bottom of the hills, and if you can blend them smoothly, it'll create a nice rolling hills effect. Also, I would recommend always using at least two values of the color, light and dark, including the sky. Gonna bring out the shoe a little bit using some black watercolor paint, and also the cake stand, giving it some shading again around and leaving the white of the page where the light would be hitting the surfaces. For the table or whatever the cake platter is sitting on, you can use any colors. Again, try to think of light and dark version of the color, and the shaded areas will be around your cake stand because there'll be a shadow underneath, and so it's going to be darker areas that become lighter towards the edges. For the background, I just basically put some stripes, vertical and horizontal, and it's a good idea to use vertical horizontal lines for the background because they flatten the picture plane, and we want flat illusion because this is essentially wallpaper. And by the way, please do not feel like you need to copy what I'm doing. These are just suggestions. You're creating a wallpaper, so if you're into collages, you can collage bits and pieces from a newspaper, for example. That looks great. Or you can paint a wallpaper design whatever you like. A word of warning though, don't make it too detailed and too complicated, because you do not want to take your attention or the attention of your viewer away from the city and from the shoe and cake stand, because those are your foreground elements, your main characters in this painting. Surrealism is an amazing art movement that is so easy to come up with different ideas for. Like, you can create things that are completely unpredictable and unique. Write down your dreams. It really helps to create unusual situations in your paintings. So I'm darkening a little bit the background, especially underneath. Again, I don't want too much attention on bright red colors underneath the cake stand. So I'm adding some purple to tone down the red and glazing the ultramarine as well. You always want to look at the painting as a whole. Even though you're working on parts of it, you're never forgetting that a part is just a part of the whole, and you need to constantly keep in view the entire composition, and everything you do should be working towards improving the entirety of your painting. So wherever you need to tone it down, whatever you need to bring up a little bit of brightness, do that. You don't need to make decisions that will necessarily be final from the very beginning. You work on the painting and improve it as you go along. So there are many other ways to create surrealist illusions, the paintings that aren't quite real or possible within the real space, within the reality of our psyche. So we can probably try other paintings as well, and Magritte is a great inspiration for that. Search out his paintings online if you're interested. I will put his name again in descriptions below. And we're almost done. Just bringing out a little bit the frame. Again, if you make things a bit darker around the edges, they tend to look more 3D. So finally darken the shoe a little bit with black, and it should bring everything out nicely. So I'm hoping you really enjoyed this surrealist painting, And I'm hoping you leave some comments or suggestions. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.